You guys remember superhero movies? Like many stupid kids from the brain rot generation, these movies were cinema. MCU was the bomb, and I loved watching analysis videos of superhero movies and vividly remember going to the cinema to watch Infinity War and Endgame and how excited I was. But looking back now, Look, I'm not here to be a Marvel hater or comment on how they are the doom of the film industry, because realistically, most big movies nowadays just stink. But apart from the Guardians movies and Infinity War, most of Marvel's catalogue just consists of bland filmmaking that relies on crap CGI and awful jokes to numb the minds of erratic children for a couple hours. But would I say I'm sick of superhero movies?
Absolutely not.
I still think there is huge potential to make a lot more interesting superhero stories, because I think there are a lot of characters that are still yet to get movies where they actually seem cool. There's so many X-Men movies, but apart from Wolverine, Deadpool and Charles Xavier, none of them have actually got good representation. So I guess the annoyance more stems from these studios pumping out the same generic poo-poo when there is potential to do so much more. But did you know there was an era where they were even worse? A little history lesson for you normies. X-Men and Spider-Man were really successful in the early 2000s, so this created a branch of really crap knockoffs that were embarrassingly bad. Elektra, Daredevil, and Catwoman are all examples of movies that are hot garbage, because there's boring, and then there's this.
Holy Jesus, what is that?
But the one that sticks out to me as some of the worst superhero movies ever made have definitely got to be the Fantastic Four franchise. Now, normally most movies from this era were one and done because they were so bad, so nobody liked them and they were pretty unsuccessful. Elektra, only one movie. Daredevil, only one movie. Catwoman, only one movie. But Fantastic Four was different in that regard. It had not one, not two, but 3 movies. If you think about it, excluding the MCU, Spider-Man, Batman, and Superman are the only superhero movies to have over 2 films in their franchises, and these characters are considered staples of the superhero genre. And the Fantastic Four are really cool characters that actually hold a lot of significance, even saving Marvel Comics from going out of business at one point. So, like most people, you would probably assume these movies would be good, right?
You didn't have to cut me off!
These movies are terrible and are unanimously hated by everyone. I don't care if you're a 6-year-old child or a 90-year-old grandma on laxatives, you all hate these movies. Therefore, considering they had 3 opportunities to get these characters and movies right and still failed, I want to go through each movie and completely dissect why these movies fail as a franchise and movies in general. Also, because there are so many things wrong with this movie, I'm going to go through a more scene-by-scene analysis to really give you insight into how bad these movies really are. And with that, we start with... Also, editor me guys, please subscribe because I have 0.
We don't care.
So, there's 2 ways you can approach a superhero movie critique video. You can tackle it from the point of view of a Fantastic Four fan or a movie fan, meaning this kind of thing should normally leave lots of room for discussion. For example, I don't really care that the Mandarin is not the Mandarin in Iron Man 3 or Batman uses a gun in Batman v Superman, but a lot of comic book fans get really mad when anyone tries to justify this because it's not faithful to who the superhero is in the original comics. Now, I say all this because I am not the biggest Fantastic Four expert, but I can definitely say that this movie fails on both levels. But how can you say that, JTV? You've literally just said there's 2 ways to look at these movies. Well, it's just because these movies fail as a piece of media. I don't care if you like comic books, normal books, movies, TV series, whatever. There are just so many flaws with basic storytelling, character work, and writing in these movies that are just so bad that it would negate the supposed comic faithful parts of these movies, which they don't even have because I checked.
Oh my God!
Anyway, let's get into why the series just fails as a film and a faithful adaptation. So, the movie starts with Reed and Ben trying to get money for some project, which I don't really know why because they don't explain it, but the scene is basically them trying to ask for money from Victor. And this highlights my first issue with these movies. These guys just don't speak like humans. They speak in what I like to call exposition quotes. Every time someone says something, they always speak in a way where they're trying to describe them in their entirety, even if it makes no sense in the context of the movie. Like, why does Ben address Dr. Doom as Victor Von Doom? Who addresses a person by their full name if that person already knows very well who he is? Or why does Victor say that Reed is always reaching for the stars when everyone in the room knows who Reed is? Or why does he say that Reed made people at MIT feel like junior high students? I'll tell you why, because the writers couldn't be asked to write scenes with normal dialogue.
You are correct, sir.
But who cares about that? Johnny, Reed, Ben, Susan, and Victor are going to space. Hold the phone, what? If I haven't made it clear by now, this movie gives you no time to figure figure out what's going on. Why are they going to space? There's like one line where Reed says this could make kids have happier lives, but we never know what they're actually planning to do in space. Also, why does Victor go along with this? The film shows us that Victor Von Doom does not like Reed, considering he's unreliable, bankrupt, and he took his girl, and helping kids normally doesn't help billionaire dollar projects, so it makes no sense why he would fund it. But what's even weirder is that when they get smashed by comic rays, blowing the ship up and mutating them, they somehow just end back home. How? No one was there to protect them. Their bones should be disintegrated and now floating through space, but they're just chilling at home. But now the movie's gonna remind us it was written by hyperactive children. This scene just encapsulates everything wrong with these movies. You know how so much random stuff has happened in the last 10 minutes without explanation? The movie doesn't explain that and instead just shows us Johnny skiing with women. I am only 10 minutes in and I'm so confused. And by now, you might have realized something just feels off. It's almost as if I've missed something because we're nearly at the point where everyone has their powers and we haven't got any scenes establishing the Fantastic Four's character traits or personal lives. But I'm not missing anything out. This movie just forgets to give our characters traits. And this leads me perfectly onto the next terrible thing in this series, the writing. The dialogue is absolute garbage because everyone speaks in these terrible stock phrases, but apart from that, this movie just doesn't want to develop their characters. It's kind of hard to describe why this is such a huge problem because you can't criticize something that isn't there. But I guess what I'll say is it just reduces our characters to the most baseline characteristics. Johnny's a hothead, Reed's smart, Ben says it's clobbering time, and Susan doesn't have traits. Actually, let me just rephrase what I said before. Some of the characters just don't even have traits. It feels kind of insane that I have to point that out to you, but they don't. I don't know how to describe it. And in a team superhero dynamic, it's really key that you make these characters likable, otherwise no one will care about them as a family and the movie falls apart. Look at the Guardians of the Galaxy. Everyone loves those movies, myself included, because the story revolves around how the characters all care for each other and their tribulations as a family. But when you remove character traits, no one cares because we don't know who these people are. Anyway, now we have really fun Susan and Reed sequences, which leads me on to another problem with these movies. Sue and Reed's relationship makes me want to die. Like I said, because they have no traits and speak the same, they have terrible chemistry. But even the scenes with them together just boils down to, oh Reed, you're not sensitive enough, you don't care about me, you work too hard. But when is that show? I don't understand. He doesn't actually work hard at anything for the entire movie. What do you want me to do with that? And their first scene together just makes no sense. Reed says he's happy for her, considering, you know, he's with Dr. Doom now, but then Storm goes on this mega rant about all the things wrong with Reed and exposition quotes again. But why? He didn't even say anything. He said he was happy for you. Why are you so mad? It's like they filmed two completely different scenes and edited them together because they're talking about completely different things. Anyway, it's time for our heroes to get powers shown by bad CG. Whoa, this is amazing. I don't have severe depression.
Oh my god!
But now, we have come to the only scene in this movie which I actually kind of like. By this point, Ben has turned into the big bulky boy and ditches the Doom Containment Center after coming into contact with the Rays. And after showing himself to his wife, she's so shocked by what she sees that she leaves him. Now, this scene is a really powerful and effective idea. Unfortunately, pacing and music are very important. For some reason, they choose to play like a weird superhero theme song during this. I'm pretty sure when your wife leaves you, it's actually sad. Why is the music treating it like a heroic deed? Also, the pacing is absolutely terrible. Like, I get why she's shocked. I'm not an imbecile, but immediately when she sees Ben, she's like,
fuck this shit, I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. No thanks.
There's absolutely zero hesitation in leaving her husband, and it's kind of hilarious. And then we just instantly move on to the next scene. We're not even allowed to linger in the sadness of this moment because it's so rushed. This is like filmmaking 101. It's not that hard. But now it's time for the really stupid shit. So there's this guy who's trying to off himself in the water, but Ben starts talking to him because, you know, he's there because he's wallowing in his own misery. So instead of jumping into the water like a normal person, he starts walking on the ledge over a bridge and nearly gets run over, causing a truck to crash into Ben. But the drivers don't slow down when they see a car literally smashed up in the middle of the road and keep going at the same speed, so they all crash into that same car. Okay, that's already weird, but nobody's in any real danger until a gas bomb just explodes spontaneously out of nowhere and a fire truck nearly falls off the bridge. But when you look back, The fire doesn't even reach the fire truck, so why would he reverse it off the bridge? There's nothing to avoid. What are you doing? These events aren't even linked. There's no one who's actually in any real danger because of someone else. It's literally just everyone is trying to die. And in the meantime, Johnny, Susan, and Reed are doing absolutely nothing. They have a plan for Sue to turn invisible so they can get past the people, but Sue's the only one that goes invisible, so how does this help Johnny and Reed get to the front? Also, Johnny can literally fly, and Reed's limbs are made of rubber. Just use your big lanky arms to hoist yourself to the front of the pack, stupid, instead of dicking around while people die. It makes it even worse when they actually start to do something. They fix everything instantly. Susan instantly swallows up a huge firestorm. Reed already knows how to stretch perfectly to hoist the fallen people back up to safety, so why didn't you just do that instantly? This scene is used to show our heroes using their powers for good, but everyone acts so comically retarded, crashing their cars into each other, driving into the ocean and walking into traffic, so you're just more confused than anything. And there are so many scenes when you use fundamental logic that just don't make sense. So after everyone stops acting insane, the cops surround Ben with guns. But then 5 seconds later, everyone starts clapping, even the firefighters, and then the police just disappear. Where did they go? But now it's time to talk about Victor Von Doom, you guys, and he's gonna get his business revoked from him. I wonder where I've seen this before.
You know, I'm something of a scientist myself.
You see, Dr. Doom is essentially just Green Goblin, which, one, makes no sense. In the comics, Dr. Doom is such a large character that it's kind of hard to quantify what he really is. He's a master of magic, a genius scientist, a political scholar, a capable fighter. He's so good at so many things because he almost has a thirst to be the best at everything to fulfill his own ego, which is why he can occupy a variety of stories. That's why Fantastic Four and Dr. Doom are perfect adversaries, because Fantastic Four each individually have many flaws, but they're compensated for by other members of the team. They're a family that's reliant on each other, but Doom is the polar opposite. He's a master of everything, therefore he doesn't feel the need for support from others. Now, why do I say all this? Because Big Gobby is the result of a serum that creates another personality that wants to kill people. They're two completely different villains, so it's kind of stupid that his character journey is anything like Norman's. But even if they choose to go this route, they don't develop it at all. We're given like a 30-second scene after the Fantastic Four appear on TV that Doom is getting kicked out of his own company. So then he just decides to murder a bunch of people and the Fantastic Four and go on a quest for ultimate power? Why? Before he gets hit with the cosmic rays, he's a low-key chill guy. So why the fuck does he just choose to go batshit psycho and want to kill everyone? How do the cosmic rays alter his brain chemistry to be an absolute maniac? It makes sense in Spider-Man 1 because the Goblin Serum obviously transforms Norman into a psychopath, and we're given multiple scenes that give us insight into the financial pressure he's got from the government and from the board at his own firm, so it makes sense why he's killing these people, along with the fact that the Goblin persona likes killing. But again, this movie continues the trend of not giving our characters motivations. We don't know why this man goes from chill guy to crazy power-hungry murderer. Why would you do this? Anyway, our characters are now chilling in a hotel. I mean, a rational person would think, superpowered individuals that can literally go as hot as the sun might be dangerous. Maybe instead they should be put in a government facility where they won't blow up the world. Also, we're shown that Reed is broke because of the notice bills he's got in his apartment, so why has he got a super lab just chilling there? Someone needs to explain themselves before I have a heart attack. And now, Dr. Doom blows a hole through the CEO guy. You might ask why he's acting scared before he gets killed, as I don't remember him being told about Dr. Doom being a metal skeleton with a unibeam, but who cares? And then the reporter makes a penis joke after Johnny goes to the bike event without Reed's permission, and then Ben and Johnny fight. Oh no! Dr. Doom then kills people and buys a mini fridge. Then Susan and Reed talk about how they were in love with fucking stock phrases again. And Ben punches Reed because he's a moron and turns back into a human because Doom told him to use the machine for some reason. And that takes up 40 minutes. You know how at the beginning of the movie they throw so much crap at you that just isn't explained? Well, now it's the exact opposite. They're literally doing nothing. They're just waiting for the eventual moment where Doom comes, so they just stitched 5 random short stories together that have nothing to do with the plot. The only thing they kind of do is rebuilding the machine to turn them back to normal, but they don't actually show scenes of him doing this. For like 40 minutes, he goes, oh no, it's not ready. But then Ben eventually gets fed up and uses the machine, and it works perfectly perfectly fine. So what were you waiting for 40 minutes, you bloody spaz? Remember how I said at the beginning how I speak for comic book and film fans when talking about this pile of poo? It's because the film fundamentally fails not as a movie, but as a story. We don't have a plot, our characters don't have traits, and we don't know anything about them, so there's nothing to critique because it just isn't there. You can tell as an audience member that it just doesn't feel right. There's no threat, there's no character work, there's no plot progression, they don't explain anything that happened before. It's literally just 4 people sleeping and eating in an apartment. I do not know how to express anymore how infuriating this is to watch. Also, the little things they do just fail on basic logic again. Like, why does Doom putting his hand in the machine amplify his powers? We're shown it does the fucking opposite with Ben. That's not a filmmaking error, that's not a storytelling error, that's a brain processing error. And you may wonder why Doom wants to become more mutated, because I thought he wanted his company back. But now, instead he wants to become the most powerful being in the universe. And like I said before, this makes no sense. I thought he wanted to save his business, that was his main motivation. But instead he's actually using the mini fridge to freeze Reed to death and an RPG to blow up Johnny. Why? You have no beef, what is wrong with you? Yeah, buddy, what? And not only does Doom turn insane for no reason, but they introduce him as a villain 1 hour and 20 minutes into the movie, with 15 minutes to go, so we don't even have time to see him as a bad guy. Also, where are your Doom gauntlets? How are you not shooting green lasers? I know that from Fortnite Chapter 2. How is it not included in this movie? Anyway, Ben's like, my wife left me. I get roasted by my family and friends and suffer from severe depression when I am a rock. But my boy Reed needs me. So he turns back into a cheese ball and then we bum around in awkward stiff positions where we have 19 million cuts a second and random explosions and sound effects. Oh no, Doom's gonna stab Ben with a pole even though he's made out of fucking rocks. But no, they piss on him and now he's frozen solid. I can't do this anymore. Please pull the trigger and let me jump out the window. Anyway, the movie is finally over. Wait, what? Susan and Reed are getting married? They barely know each other and spent the whole movie fighting and talked to each other like 5 times. Also, her boyfriend, who she'd been with for 2 years, went crazy and is now frozen solid. Don't you have morals? Feelings? Yes, of course you don't, because you're not a person. 2 out of 10, I'm going to bed. So, that was absolutely terrible, and I now have a newfound hatred for big orange cheese balls, diarrhea dialogue, and garbage storytelling. But it begs the question, can this movie get any worse?
How do you guys,
Of course it does. This movie has the same problems as the first, where the characters are as lifeless as corpses and scenes generally fail on fundamental logic. But this movie literally does not have anything. I know I said that about the first one, but for this movie I really mean it. It is so bankrupt in every aspect of storytelling and filmmaking that is kind of hard to put into words, but here goes. So this movie starts with an exploding planet and a silver ball appearing, coinciding with massive craters in random places and huge weather changes. Now this plotline really pisses me off, but for now, all I have to say is that is a terrible opening. It gives you nothing interesting to pull you in because there's no intrigue and it has nothing to do with our characters. There's no slow build of tension to the realization of the crazy thing that just happened or something terrible has happened to someone we know. It's literally just the Silver Surfer goes past and then snow. Why is that even a bad thing in the context of the movie? They don't even explain it to us. And this is literally the first 30 seconds of the movie. How is it already failing? Anyway, now we're back to exposition quotes explaining who these people are now, because remember, we don't actually know. Everyone now is really happy because they're rich, which doesn't make any sense. How do they have an upgrade on the super lab considering Reed's broke? The only reason we're given is advertisements. Why would they have so many? All they did was defeat Dr. Doom, who's irrelevant to the entire world. Why do these guys become such icons for defeating someone who is relatively unknown? Also, Ben was depressed in the last movie because he was a rock, and they literally have the machine to turn him back into a normal human, but now he's completely fine with being a human asteroid. And us chilling with Reed takes up 30 minutes. Countries have frozen up and craters the size of Mongolia have appeared in random places, but showing that only takes up 30 seconds, while showing Reed hanging out in a club takes up 10 minutes. I just don't understand what drugs these people were taking while writing this movie.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no.
Anyway, time for Captain Holt to appear. Wait, what the flip? So in this movie we're given new arsehole government officials to deal with, because that hasn't been done before. And and he sucks. Now, I'll go on record saying I love Andrew Brower, or however you say his name. I think he was a fantastic actor, but his character in this movie is so irritating. While in the club, he pulls Reed aside to say, look, dangerous stuff coming, need help. And Reed's like, no, because I'm getting married this week, please call me up later. But the general gets so pissed to the point where he essentially calls Reed an idiot and a pussy. The Silver Surfer hasn't even appeared and there's other scientists. Why are you being so mean? He said he'll start it in 3 days. There's no indication that the Silver Surfer will do anything major considering he's only been in the movie for 30 seconds. Also, Reed doesn't work for government. You shouldn't even be showing him this information, so why do you get so pissed when he refuses? But it gets even worse later, so we'll talk about it then. Anyway, Dr. Doom is alive! I never saw that coming! The basic rundown of what happens is Dr. Doom wakes up because of the energy of the Silver Surfer, and then this mechanic starts doing some weird shit so he can move again. But why is it so easy for him to get out? Instead of putting him in a heavily guarded government facility, they store him in a closet of a church, despite him being a mass murderer that can shoot electricity from his hands. Oh yes, and he's made of metal. And what more? Doom can't move, so he poses no threat to this dude, but he still helps free him, essentially letting Doom escape and shoot his ass. Why would any rational human being do that? Doom can't chase him if he just runs out the building and tells the government. But most of all, why are all his scenes like a maximum of 1 minute? And this is a clear ongoing theme in these movies where they just don't give any screen time to their villains. As I said, the first 30 minutes of this movie are completely dedicated to Susan and Reed's wedding, which just consists of dead Susan and Reed interactions where they still have zero chemistry because they are fragments of a real human, and scenes showing, oh my days, Reed, stop working. What's wrong with you? I don't want to be famous. I hate your attention. I want to be normal. Just shut up. When did that become such a big problem for you? We haven't even seen the Silver Surfer's face and the planet is falling apart and no one cares. So on the day of the wedding, the Silver Surfer zooms past to destroy the sensor that Reed built to track him, causing the power to go out on the helicopter above, which destroys everything, and this causes Johnny to go after him. But then, the Silver Surfer grabs Johnny by the neck and takes him to space where he passes out. Now, you would expect Susan to be mad, considering her original reason for breaking up with him in the first movie was that he was working all the time. Taking into consideration the fact that he also lied to her, surely you would expect her to be mad. But she's not. Now the only thing she cares about is that this shows they can't have a normal life together? Are you retarded? The wedding would have been fine if he hadn't built the sensor because the Silver Surfer wouldn't have come. What don't you comprehend? Also, the gang kind of mocks Johnny for describing how the Silver Surfer was on a hoverboard and can shift states, but why? Ben is literally a rock and Reed is made out of rubber. It's pretty obvious that wacky stuff happens in this universe, so why are they roasting him? And now, for some reason, Johnny switches powers with anyone he touches. And this plot point is only mentioned like once, so nobody cares. What's important now is that Doom and Silver Surfer meet to discuss their evil intentions. Actually, the scene is about a minute long with 4 lines of dialogue, so the movie has been going on for 40 minutes and both villains have a combined screen time of 4 minutes. I'm actually going to die talking about this movie. It's made even more stupid because 1, the Dr. Doom has no idea that the Silver Surfer caused the massive climate change and power outages, and 2, he has no means of tracking him because he's literally untraceable without Reed's super technology, which probably costs billions, so how has he contacted him when he has no money or resources because he's been stuck in a closet for a year and is a wanted criminal? Also, why would the Silver Surfer choose to meet Victor in the middle of Antarctica just to say no to him? This movie has the emotionless Silver Surfer trolling Dr. Doom. But finally, after we spent half the movie doing nothing with the Braindead 4, we actually get some background info on our villains. Basically, we find out the Silver Surfer has been traveling to planets, and everywhere he's been to, the planet is dead. I mean, this is stupid considering it's never explained how Reed knows this. And this goes into another problem with these movies that I like to call, the writers make Reed know everything for no reason, justifying it under the reason of he's smart. For some reason, Reed just automatically figures everything out, and we're never shown how he reaches his conclusions. How does he manage to create machine that manages to turn Ben back into a normal human? How does he know how to create a sensor to track a literal piece of silver? And the same thing happens here because it makes no sense how Reed immediately knows where the Silver Surfer's been. The characters usually stay on Earth, so it makes no sense how he can track other life forms in space. Also, if he knows how to find out where he's been, why didn't he just do that at the beginning of the movie when he found out a silver ball was entering the atmosphere? But the worst case of this has to be when Reed finds out that the Silver Surfer has been putting craters in the pattern of geometric sequences. What? Now, I do math, and a geometric sequence looks like this. So how does it make any sense when finding a fucking location? But what completely blows my brain is why would the Silver Surfer organize where he puts his craters using math? Did the Silver Surfer really wake up and think, I'm gonna put my 200 feet holes in the fucking floor using geometric sequences? And this doesn't even make sense, as again, I must say, a sequence is about numbers, not coordinates. In fact, we don't even know why the Silver Surfer is putting giant buttholes in the earth, let alone in fucking geometric sequences. Anyway, here's the only scene I actually like in the movie.
This later. What the hell is wrong with you people?
You said it, pal. I hate the Fantastic Four. But now we're going to London, and Silver Surfer puts a hole in the ground, and then London Eye nearly collapses, people get saved, Silver Surfer gets away, yada yada yada. The scene is irrelevant, like most scenes in the movie. But now for some reason, Captain Holt just becomes enraged. He's like, sure, you saved a bunch of people from death, but who cares about that? Why didn't you instantly capture and defeat the god who changes matter and is indestructible on the first try? Are you dumb? You failure. Failure! In fact, this makes him so mad to the point where he brings in Dr. Doom, a verified psychopathic power-hungry madman, to help them with no restrictions on him or government control. What is wrong with you? He's made of metal and can shoot lightning out of his fingertips. How did you think this was a good idea when he can literally kill everyone instantly? This is such a rash reaction when you've given them no time and nothing bad even happened. It doesn't make sense why this man has such an agenda against Reed. Also, you wonder why Doom is even here. He escaped and stole an airplane to try and team up with the Silver Surfer to rule the world. He's not in prison and is probably a fugitive, so how can he be here on government orders? When did Doom contact the General and how is this even happening? But most of all, why does Reed instantly go along with this? Does he forget in the previous movie Victor literally tried to freeze him to death and blow Johnny up with an atomic bomb? These events should obviously make Reed very against working with this man, but he completely agrees within a minute of the General asking, why are you willingly taking such a risk to your personal safety and your family, considering Dr. Doom isn't even a real asset because he's a flippin' muppet who offers no help for the whole movie? How do you have this much brain damage? Whatever, now it turns out that Silver Surfer is only powerful because he sucks up juice from the floor using an infinite style points glitch. So pretty much just by watching a 10-second clip of him, they're all instantly cool with the idea that if they take his skateboard away, he goes from all-powerful god to Silver Bart Simpson. I can't even be bothered to talk about how this makes the Silver Surfer so much more pathetic, but this movie has genuinely made me a nihilistic madman who wants to jump off a building, so I don't care. Also, in the last movie, Doom's face was literally turning into metal, but now he looks completely fine. Damn. That face cream is working overtime. Anyway, back to the writers make Reed know everything for no reason, justifying it under the reason of he's smart. Somehow he figures out a way to separate the Surfer from his board using a pulse generator. What does that even mean? We don't know, I don't care. But for some reason, it means that we have to go to the Black Forest to find the Silver Surfer. And I've said this multiple times before, but this is when the stupid stuff really begins. So obviously when they get there, Reed asks to help, because he's a nice guy. But Captain Holt gets so mad at this suggestion that he chooses to completely sideline the four, calls him a freak, and bullies him for being a nerd in high school. This caught me so off guard because Reed has been nothing but helpful and he's done jack. But then Reed goes on like this monologue glazing his life and tells him essentially to do one, and then he's like, okay, I will now give you full control of my military operation. Why have you just done that? It's not like he's had a change of heart feeling bad for dissing Reed or appreciating how much he's helped. He just gives up control while being the same prick. This is just not how humans act. Someone needs to put you in a body bag after I come into a house and bulldoze the door. After this, Susan encounters the Silver Surfer in the forest, and instead of attacking her and shutting down the device that will remove his powers, he just stands there. And then the military start to shoot him with bullets and missiles, which is so stupid considering he can change states and absorb everything they're chucking at him. But oh no, Silver Surfer gets dragged off his driftboard so he's no longer shiny. And they capture him, but I feel dead inside because the screenplay is a mess. Whatever, who cares about that? Time for a creepy pervert.
There are certain things I'm not permitted to do because they're considered human rights violations. Fortunately, you're not human.
Why would you say it like that? What are you going to do to this man? So now the Silver Surfer is in captivity, but Susan wants to talk to him because he saved her life. I mean, mean, surely he's got to be innocent, right? You talked with him for like 1 minute. He tried to kill your brother. You know nothing about this man. For all you know, he could be a deranged lunatic who wants to eat your children. And obviously because Susan is worried, Reed's like to the general, please let us talk to him. But then the general's like, actually, I don't want to do that. Only Victor Von Doom, the psychopathic maniac, can be in this area. This doesn't even matter anyway because Susan just opens the door and leaves to talk to the Silver Surfer. Now, the Silver Surfer has stayed quiet despite being tortured by the government, which to be honest doesn't even make sense because he's made out of silver. Human torture methods don't work, so what are they actually doing to him? But as soon as Susan asks him, he spills everything. He tells him how he needs to protect his planet and girlfriend from Galactus, which is so stupid because his master is Galactus. Blood can literally eat his whole family tree, sucking it up like Badland chugs. But as soon as anyone asks him what he's doing here, he tells them everything. Why are you not scared that the planet-eating god will destroy your planet because you're essentially betraying him? And if you're not scared of him, why are you doing any of this planet destruction for him? What is wrong with you?
Stupid.
And his reason for telling her all of this is because Susan reminds him of his girlfriend. That makes no sense. We don't know what she looks like or who she is, and unless Jessica Alba is made out of silver and comes from a different dimension, this is the dimmest reason to unleash all your secrets to someone. Anyway, Doom's evil plan is finally being revealed, that he was working for the government so he was allowed access to the board that makes you a demigod. Now, these characters do some really dumb stuff, so believe me when I say that this might be the dumbest decision ever made by any character in any movie I've ever seen. Why is the US government allowing this man to have access to the most powerful item in the world? This board gives you godlike strength, allows you to change fucking states, and the general genuinely thinks it's fine to let this delusional maniac take the board. He says in government presence only, but he's been shown that this board allows you to swallow missiles and bullets, so why do you think letting him use the board in your presence will do anything? He can probably body you all without the board, let alone with it. So how are you allowing this man to get more powerful? Even if it was someone like Reed, it would be stupid. But you have the records on all the people he's killed and that he's insane. He barely even helped you. Reed did all the work. But you locked him in a room far away and you let the mass murderers steal it? I'm going to ram a tractor into this movie. And anyway, General Hager gets capped, and no one cares because now we have to find Doom. Sorry Galactus, looks like you're going to be stuck in the broom closet until the last 5 minutes of the movie despite being the main villain.
Oh, hell no!
Then they chase Doom into Shanghai. It doesn't even matter, but what's so funny is that Victor throws a spear made out of cosmic energy at the Silver Surfer, and then Susan jumps in the way and dies.
Embarrassing.
I'm not kidding, this literally happens. This comes so far out of left field that it's actually kind of shocking. The Silver Surfer and Susan Storm have 2 scenes where they interact, so why has she chosen to die for him? She has a husband, a brother, Ben, who is essentially like family, and yet she dumps all of them in the bin for no reason just to save a piece of silver that she met 30 minutes ago. It's actually so stupid that I had to watch that segment 3 times to make sure I wasn't bugging out. Also, the Surfer is made out of silver. He could easily just move out the way or tank it because he's made out of metal, but still Susan decides to jump in the way. He would have survived even if you didn't do that, and you have a family to go back to. And it's so funny because the movie doesn't even care about the fact that she's dead. They literally show her getting impaled, and then it goes back to the scene where Johnny's absorbing everyone's powers to defeat Doom, and they resume the scene after like 5 minutes. It seems like a mistake because they split the scene in half and put it on either side of the action scene. Also, Johnny can't absorb everyone's powers. She's not Rogue. When he takes someone else's power, he loses his own. And you know why I know that? The movie told us! Anyway, Victor gets booted into the ocean and Susan's dying. But then the Silver Surfer just resurrects her. I don't have the energy to care anymore. And so the only thing left to do in this movie is fight Galactus, who hasn't even been in the movie for an hour and 20 minutes. But then the Silver Surfer just flies into the air and blows himself up to kill Galactus, and the movie's over. I thought you had a girlfriend. What about her? You've interacted with none of these people. Why did you sacrifice yourself for them? Also, I have to mention that the main villain of the movie, Galactus, the planet-eating monster, has 0 minutes of screen time. They didn't even hire an actor to play him. I'm done. I'm actually done. I'm not doing this anymore. Okay, bye.